Hi everyone, it's early September here in Southern California. So today what we're going to do is go through the garden, talk about crops that we're pulling out and crops that we're preparing to plant. So stick around and join us. Hi everyone, this is Jackie with the Self-Sufficient Mercantile, and today what I'm going to do is go through the garden. It's about the middle of September, pretty close, so things are kind of winding down. Our summer crops and our warm weather season crops are winding down, and what we're doing now is thinking about fall planting. But there are a couple things I want to show you. Tomatoes are pretty much done. Some of them I'll show you still have a lot of growth and even some fruit. Like these guys here, we still have a lot of new growth coming on. You can see there's old growth kind of dying back, but you know, there's still a tomato here. So this is the time of year where we think, do I want to leave it? Do I want to pull it? We can do either, but honestly, I'm probably going to be pulling these guys out because I want to make room for other stuff. Now, one other thing I want to show you guys here is I noticed this. Doesn't this look strange? There's no leaves on it. Looks kind of barren. Well, last night I was looking around, and lo and behold, I spotted this guy here. I don't know if you can see him. It's our tomato hornworm guy. Now, he is so big, and this is so late in the year, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just kind of going to let him be. The neat thing about those is they turn into a moth that can be mistaken for a hummingbird. They kind of fly around and they're really cool. So earlier in the year, I probably would have gotten rid of this guy, but I'm just going to let him be and let him live. Other things that are still producing right now are peppers. The peppers are doing really well still, so I will leave these guys in a little bit longer. We've got some bell peppers. I do have some hot peppers, and probably about another month on those, and then we'll start pulling them out. Over in this far row, we've got some pumpkins and some winter squash. Some of those are starting to get a little bit of powdery mildew. I'm not going to treat it. I'm not going to worry about it because, as I said, it is getting late in the season. So whatever makes it, you know, through to the first frost, I'm just going to leave it as it is. And then I don't know if earlier I touched on, we were growing some gourds. So we'll show you the gourds over here. They're pretty cool. So these are the gourds. You can see they're all different shapes and sizes. So that's kind of an interesting one. There's some that look more like a pumpkin and a spaghetti squash type of a thing. Some are real warty, like this guy. That's kind of cool. But this has been so prolific. It's just grown up right into this tree. So you can see there are a few gourds hanging in the tree as well. So I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'm just going to use them for decoration. But I think this has probably been the most vigorous plant in the whole garden this year. Another thing that's going right now, going crazy, is this Asian pear. Now this guy, I did harvest a lot of the fruit off of it already. Did some canning, we've eaten them fresh. But I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dry them. So I'm going to cut them in slices and dehydrate them. But that's just been prolific this year. It's a real heavy bearing tree this particular year. It doesn't do this much each year, but about every other year you get a really, like a bumper crop of it. And a couple other things that are still hanging on and doing fairly well are the squash. So you can see there's still a couple down there, still producing. I'll leave these. These are in the grow bags. Grow bags are great for these. I've This is the first year I've done them in the grow bags, and they do really well. So if you don't have a lot of space, or you kind of want to keep them under control, the grow bag is a really good idea to do for the squash. This here is a yellow crookneck squash. So you can see it's still producing as well. So I'll leave this guy in too, because I'm not really going to need that grow bag for a while. Other things that are still in the ground, we've got some sweet potatoes here. I just have a small patch, so it's not huge, and I'm going to wait probably another month before I dig those up, because we really don't get a frost here till pretty late in the year. Some of you northerners probably already are experiencing some cold weather. We are not. I mean, yesterday was close to 100 degrees. Over here, more peppers. So we've got peppers, we've got some eggplants, and still producing pretty well, pretty heavily. So we will leave these in the ground. We'll continue to harvest them for a good another month or so. And then what we'll do is we'll start pulling stuff out. Like this row here, I've started to pull out some of the tomatoes. And then we'll start prepping these rows for broccolis, cabbages, cauliflowers, things like that. Then we'll, plant our lettuces, radishes, beets, all the cool season crops that like to grow here during the fall, through the winter, and then early spring is when you get the big harvest on them. These are tithonias. I know we talked about them earlier in the year, but this has become one of my favorite flowers to grow. It's such an easy plant, grows readily from seed, so you can save your seed from these and scatter them around. Because my garden is kind of small, I'm limited on space, I think. I always want a bigger garden. I tend to plant my flowers like at the end of the rows so that I don't take up the actual row with the crop. So anyway, it's fun. I just wanted to kind of give you an update, and we'll do a shot of the cool season crops that I've already seeded into flats too. Okay, so I've started about 5 or 6 flats of things. This is just an example. We've got broccolis, a few different types of broccolis, cauliflowers. I'm growing some self-sufficiency, which I've never tried before. It's a type of lettuce, gets really tall and you eat the stem. And I've got some, in the other flats, I've got cabbages, cauliflowers growing, and lettuces. So those are things that I do start in flats. I don't just seed them into the ground. It is still warm here. Again, we're in zone 9B. So zones 9 and 10, we can do this in Southern California. We can start growing our cool season crops now. What we're trying to do is we're trying to take advantage of the long days still to get these guys growing up. When we transplant them, they're going to be pretty good size when they go into the cool season. So the winter, when we have darker and shorter days, they're not really going to struggle. What they're going to do is they're going to kind of sit there, but then as soon as the spring hits and the days get longer, then that's when they'll start producing their heads and stuff. So it's kind of a weird growing season that we have here compared to up north, but it's fun and it's a fun learning experience. So if you haven't tried any of the fall crops here, definitely start right now. Again, it's about middle September. Right now through November, you can go ahead and put your radishes, beets, carrots, onions, things like that. We're going to start planting and seeding right now. So anyway, just wanted to give you a quick update on the garden. Thanks for joining us today. Hope you have a great one.